we've been speaking about the cost of housing lately, how it's skyrocketing. Every landlord, every spare room in your house can go renting long term, right, to students or even short term without necessarily putting it on Airbnb.
Seun, thank you for joining me for our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we really like to bring on experts like yourself, hear your inspiring stories, and see how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, really excited to welcome on Seun Sanni. I know you are the founder and CEO of Kaabo, which is Kaabo.co. Welcome
Correct.
on. Thank you so much for taking time out with us.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for having me on the show. I'm delighted to be here to tell people about what we're doing in the real estate industry, how we're innovating in this space.
Yeah, I love it. So, can you tell me more? I mean, I know, like you had you've talked a little bit about your background to me, but I'd love to hear more of how you got into this, how you came to this idea. Like, give us kind of the origin story here.
Well, so my background might not necessarily immediately connect to how we got here, but so originally I'm from Nigeria. I moved to Canada as an immigrant, and then one of the recurring problems I found was that every newcomer had the same problem, right? Renting was challenging. It was that you didn't have a credit score or you needed a local guarantor to get a house. And if you couldn't do any of those, the landlords were asking to pay from as much as 3 months upfront to 12 months sometimes, right? Which is a lot of money to part with to part with as an immigrant, right? So I'm like, there's got to be a way to solve this, right? Being a second time founder, I'm like, you know what if we could create something to help newcomers solve this problem, right? Immigrants, I'm talking about permanent residents in Canada and an international student. So I'm like, you know what if we could give them a loan to pay this money upfront to the landlords, right? It sounded like a good idea theoretically, right? But I said to myself, you know what, because I'm not known in Canada myself, the only way to get access to financing would be private lenders who have higher interest rates, right? So I'm like, this isn't exactly helping a newcomer sell because they're going to be borrowing at higher interest rates. So I'm like, you know what, there's got to be another way. So we started researching, and then I stumbled on something called a rental guarantee, where it's an insurance really, where you do some underwriting on the tenant, and then you guarantee the landlord that if this tenant stops paying, this insurance will kick in and continue to pay. The kickback and the catch there is that the rent is reported to the credit bureau so that the tenants are kept in check to always pay their rent. Otherwise, there's a downside to that when you are having to, your rent is going to collections because you missed out on your rent payment. So this is how we started in Canada, right? And then we started building, and then I saw a much more bigger market, right? As we started this, tenants were happy to come to us to say, you know what, we wanted your rent guarantee. How can you help us with it to get a house? And then some landlords accepted it. Some landlords did not because I mean, we knew they didn't, they weren't sure they could trust us, right? And then for the landlords that accepted it, they started asking, you know what, if you're going to give me an insurance, would you also give me access to put my other properties on this platform to get more tenants from you since you're willing to back them? I'm like, hold on, that's a great idea. We can do this for more landlords. And then tenants started coming to us to say, if you're going to guarantee me, why do I have to go look for the house and come to you? If you can look for the house for me as well, and then you can guarantee me, makes it, I'm like, hold on, I didn't think about this. So this is the origin story of how we're able to build Cabo for the US market, because we saw the demand on the landlord side and on the tenant side. So we started researching, and then we didn't want to do what was existing in the market, which was that traditionally, if you wanted to rent, Matt, whether you're a tenant or a landlord, the traditional method today is for you to ask me as a tenant, if you're a landlord, to bring documents to you, right? And I have to send you my documents via email. Email is not secured, right? If your email gets hacked as a landlord, my data is exposed, right? My international passport, my proof of funding, every personal sensitive information I shared with you
Mhm.
becomes unsafe, right? So we're like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want people sending emails. So like, you know what? What if we're able to create our platform such that these tenants can come on our platform, create a profile, and the landlords can view their profile. And only landlords that accept them will have access to be able to download their files, right? So what that means is, Matt, if two tenants apply to your property and you view both, you pick one over the other. Even though you have access to both of them's profile, after 30 days, you won't have access to the one that you've rejected, right? So you're able to reject. So this idea came to us and we decided to build. And I'm like, hold on, what are we trying to solve here? What we're trying to solve is, think about it. Renting still takes up days to weeks, right? Because of this back and forth between tenant and landlord, right? The reason
Mhm.
is landlords want to be sure that the tenant meets their renting criteria, right? For tenants, if the landlord says, you know what, come and sign the agreement now, they're happy to do it within 24 hours. So we evolved Carbo into a platform where leasing can be done in 5 minutes end to end. Matt posts his property, a tenant sees the property, they create a profile on our platform. The profile in this instance, I'm going to nation the demographic that we're starting with, which is students, domestic or international. You upload your international passport if you're an international student, or your driver's license, domestic, your visa for international students. We and you put your school information. We verify that you're enrolled in the school, right? And you can upload other documents. And we do a quick criminal background check based on the information that you provided in your document. Now, all of this, when you match with a landlord on our platform, right? The landlord can see all of this instantly and say yes or no to you. When the landlord says yes, you can do a video call, a virtual call of the property to see that everything that has been put in the ad matches the property. And when you're fine with it, the landlord can send you a digital lease instantly or within minutes, and you can sign and move into the property. So what we've done is, just like Uber made getting a taxi easy within 5 minutes, you can get access to a cab, which means more people, because of Uber, trusted Uber, were able to put their taxis on the platform. People like you and I are able to take Uber. We don't need to trust the driver, right?
Right.
Because Uber has done the background. So that's what we're doing now. We don't want Matt to trust the landlord as a tenant, and we don't want Matt as a landlord to trust the tenant, right? Vice versa, and the tenant to trust the landlord. We want you to trust Cabo, right? Know that every landlord I see on Cabo has been vetted. Every tenant I meet on Cabo has been vetted. What did we do? When you onboard on the platform as a landlord, we actually do screen you. And you can skip that screening process. However, when you post your property, it shows as identity verified for this landlord or verification pending, right? So you as a tenant instantly knows this is a fraudulent posting. If you go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, there are tons of fraudulent postings, and you can't tell who's who, right? Cabo has been able to fix that problem by showing a badge for every posting on our property or on our platform that this person posting has been ID'd, right? It will be great if you can show that during posting this, right? So that they can see the identity badge for the landlords, right? And then for the landlords as well, when they're viewing a tenant, if a tenant has skipped the setup process where they didn't complete their profile, we don't even allow them match with a landlord. However, you can send the landlord a message to say I'm interested in your property. But what our platform has done is to take traditional leasing from days to just minutes, right? Why has this not been done? You may ask in the past. It's not been done because digital IDs were just getting popular. Now that we
Mhm.
have digital IDs and we have tools to quickly identify both sides, we've been able to create a tool that allows leasing to happen in 5 minutes. That's how we got here.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you're kind of solving problems on both sides. You're
Correct.
creating a third party validation, and you're kind of brokering trust between that landlord and the tenant in that way. So, um, yeah, that's exciting. I know you've told me even the origin of the name Cabo as well. Can you explain that too for our audience?
Yes, I'm happy to tell your audience and the audience. So Kabo in my language, again, as I said, I'm from Nigeria, the Yoruba tribe. Kabo means welcome, right? So this is also welcoming you a new way of leasing, a new way of renting, a new way of finding tenants, a new way of, I mean, welcoming you to your house, right? So we're welcoming you to a new way of doing leasing, really. So that's why the name actually fits the engine that we've built, right? So it's to welcome you to something new and to welcome you into a safe space.
Amazing. Yeah, and I know you
Mhm.
get congratulations because I know you guys, it's early July, but you recently launched in California, right?
Correct, correct. So we launched just in time to meet with the new school season for fall, right? A lot of tons of international students will be coming into the U.S. And as you know, California has the highest number of international students in the U.S. So that's why we're launching that. First of all, we are currently focused over the next 8 weeks on students going to USC, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and then UC Santa Barbara, right? That's where our core focus. However, that said, even though that's our core focus, the tool is available. Anyone can use it in the US, right? You can get on the platform, push your property, find tenants, right? Whether for short-term lease or long-term lease, it works for both. So yeah, well, we're happy to keep onboarding, and
Hmm.
I think I should mention this at this point. We know that because we're a new platform, some landlords are still hesitant, right, to trust us to do the end-to-end collection for them. So we have a product that allows landlords to take their 1 year's rent upfront at a discount. So what that means is that Matt, if you wanted to rent to 10 international students, but you don't trust them and you don't trust Cabo enough, we give you the option to take your rent at a discount 1 year upfront while we deal with the student because we can vouch for them, right? So we've also put that as part of the bundle that we offer. If you've got, as a property manager, if you're managing more than 15 properties in California, you're not required to provide the option to your tenants to report their rent payment to the credit bureau to build credit, right? So you can also do that on our platform. It's part of the end-to-end solution that we offer to these landlords now. So yeah, exciting times in the market.
Absolutely, yeah, and I know you guys have already had some pretty great success, focused on Canada. I know you've had over $1 million in rent process there already. What did you guys learn from that launch, that beta? Like, have you had to make any pivots? Like, I'd love to hear that process of how things are rolling out and how you're applying that to the U.S. market.
Very good question, Mike. So all I would say every touch point and every innovation technology in Cabo was from learnings in the better that we did in the Canadian market. From understanding and learning that tenants are actually happy to create just one renting profile and share with multiple landlords so that they don't have to send documents to several landlords. It was from this beta launch that we get that insight. And then also knowing that landlords are comfortable taking the discounts to get their rent upfront 1 year in advance. Plus, knowing that for landlords, the reason for asking for a credit score or a guarantor is not because they're the worst of people. It's because they've got mortgages that they also have obligations to meet up to pay with. So they need to be sure that this person would be able to meet up with their obligations, right? So understanding both sides of the market was we were able to actually develop a much better product. And also the reason we've got a landlord badge and a tenant badge is newcomers mostly go to look for houses on places like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace where they fall for scams a lot of the time, right?
Hmm.
They lose money. So for us, solving that problem was introducing the identity badge, right? Again, all of this was from doing a better launch in Canada to help us understand the market. And then also on the landlord, on the tenant side, the reason you cannot rent out today instantly is because you want to screen the tenant and you want the tenant to go here, get that screening certificate and send to you. What if we could do this instantly, right? As I like to say to people, technology is evolving very fast. We needed to innovate in the real estate market. I can get a taxi in minutes via mobile app. I can book a travel ticket. I can get a food in 5 minutes. Why is leasing still taking days, right? The underlying factor was somebody needed to be in the middle to say to both sides, you can trust me. You can trust me. I know you don't trust each other, but you can trust me, right? Which is what platforms like Uber and the likes of Expedia have been able to do to say you can trust me. So see us as the rental network building the trust engine for leasing to happen in minutes.
Yeah, I love your, how you guys are approaching the problem. Can you kind of talk through where you see Cabo and really just, I guess, the rental tech space evolving as well? Like I know you talk about like, hey, yeah, there, we've had solutions for this within the taxi space or Expedia or these kind of individual industries. How do you kind of see the industry evolving, and then how do you see Cabo help? I'd love to hear more about the vision as well.
The vision for us is to create a networking effect, a rental infrastructure that other listing platforms are able to plug into our engine, right, and then use it to scale, right, or somebody again would be able to build. But the whole idea for us is to build infrastructure that allows every listing platform to say, we want your trust engine and we want to use this for our clients, right? That would be the vision for us personally. But for the industry, um, when we scale this, we know that the industry will catch up quickly because now you have tools to be able to build faster, right? You will start seeing this kind of solution in the rental space where renting becomes minutes because now the initial barrier, which was being able to build that trust, suddenly becomes democratized, and landlords will begin to believe that we can trust these platforms, right? And we can trust what they say about this tenant. So, in essence, what we'll be able to do is to create a new way of doing things in real estate, right? So, probably will be the one pioneering that. People have tried to do this in the past, right? But I think the biggest barrier has been that being able to get the digital IDs right and being able to start with a niche market before you scale right. Um, I think there would be concerns and there would be challenges. The first concern would be, does this eliminate realtors and real estate agents? No, it doesn't. What it does is that as a realtor, as a property manager, as a real estate agent, right, whatever you call it in your part of the world, I can still get on this platform and put my properties and have control over it, right? So we're not replacing the job of agents. What we're doing is putting engines in the hands of these agents to be more effective so that they can focus on growing their um, property, their asset base, right? Increasing the number of properties that they manage easily, right? Without a tool, and also increasing the supply side on the landlord side. Think about what Uber was able to do in the taxi space. It meant every private car became a taxi, right? So we're saying now that every landlord, every spare room in your house can go renting long term right to students or even short term without necessarily putting it on Airbnb. Some landlords have said to us, um, I don't want short term Airbnb leases. Here's why, because during winter, um, there's not much traffic and I need the water in the apartment to run so that it doesn't freeze. It costs me more money to keep it empty, right? Because if water freezes or something happens during winter. So there are instances like that where people want the apartment actually occupied. So they would rather rent out to people. They rent out the room so people as a long lease, right? And we also believe that we'll be able to increase supply of rooms to international students and young professionals, right? We've been speaking about the cost of housing lately, how it's skyrocketing. If as a young professional, I'm moving, say, from LA to New York or from New York to Michigan, right? And I don't want to rent a full apartment. I could start off by getting a room, right? It's not an Airbnb. I could rent a room. We believe that our tool would be able to increase the supply because now those landlords don't need to worry about these people because they trust that Cabo has done the work on those
Mhm.
tenants. That's the direct impact that we want to have on the real estate market to increase supply of rooms to young professionals, students, and also to create a trust engine that allows leasing to happen within minutes.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, real estate's a game that all comes down to trust like that, right? So I love that you guys are trying to bring that trust to the market, that transparency. We always are a big fan of agents and investors and that whole world embracing technology. So, Sheehan, really appreciate you coming on today, sharing, what you guys are up to, the vision of where you see things headed. How can our community connect with you if they want to get involved?
Oh, thank you very much, Matt. By the way, again, thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to connect with the audience. So you can, I will share my email with you. actually open. You can send me an email directly if you want a 10 minutes walkthrough of what the product looks like. And then also you can go directly on the website and onboard by yourself. You can do all of this you can onboard within minutes. And if you're a property manager that you've got tons of hundreds of properties, switching over to our platform takes less than 10 minutes actually, with hundreds of properties just to switch. So within 10 minutes, you can have all of that. And then for landlords that come through deal machines, right? The first 50 landlords getting um, would be getting some rebate in form of to use our platform, our property management tool, free for the
Awesome.
next 3 to 6 months, depending on what Matt likes. So we'll be giving them access to first 50 landlords customers that we get from Deal Machine to access the platform for free, and then yeah, my email will be available on the screen.
Yeah,
Matt's going to put that there, so you can email me. You can reach me at any time. I'm happy to connect with the audience and then share more. And also, if there's something I've said that a more experienced landlord feels, you know what, I don't think this would work. Please feel free to email me or have a call with me and ask us how you think we're going to achieve this, and then probably give us some more insight that we probably haven't seen.
amazing. Yeah. Well, Sheehan, really appreciate you coming on again. We'll link to all that below. We'll put all that contact information below as well on the description. So, again, thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Absolutely. And everyone watching, it's Matt Camp over here with Deal Machine, and happy deal finding.